War Patrols, created by William Schmaltz. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. This episode of War Patrols is sponsored by Flag Up Mailbox, located in Ironwood, Michigan. USS Wahoo, SS-238. Report of 4th War Patrol. Dry docked at Pearl for emergency repairs to number 5 torpedo tube shutter. Commenced refit by tender, relief crew, and ship's force. Shifted 4-inch gun from aft to forward and mounted a third 20mm gun on the 4-inch gun foundation. February 23rd. Underway from Pearl for patrol areas via Midway. Moored alongside USS Tarpon at Midway. Took on 16,000 gallons fuel oil and 2,500 gallons of fresh water. February 27th. Departed Midway at 14:30. Had the unique experience of making passage from Pearl to inside of the China Sea without sighting a plane and consequently made the entire trip on the surface. The seas were rough and from ahead. Had to slow to one-engine speed several times because of excess fuel consumption per mile. During the first torpedo control drill after leaving Midway, the gyro setting indicator regulators were found to fail intermittently. For 10 days, Lieutenant R.N. Henderson spent practically every moment when off watch, tracing out these troubles, finally locating them in loose connections and a improperly adjusted relay switch. Through his untiring efforts, the equipment was placed in proper operating condition prior to entering the area. He is deserving of the highest praise. It is gratifying to have a torpedo officer of his caliber aboard. March 11th. Commenced submerged patrol in assigned area along the Formosa shipping route. Seas flat, calm. During the night, sighted many lighted sampans, which were always in pairs. Dived on the Shimonoseki-Formosa trade routes. It was perfect approach weather. Our plan of operation is to spend a day on each of these known shipping routes while we work our way up north to locate the route where the heavy traffic from the Yellow Sea flows into the inland sea via Shimonoseki. Sighted numerous lighted sampans during the night and kept clear. March 13th. 0600 dived with Mara to light, just off the southwest coast of Saishu 2, distant 6 miles where the Shanghai Shimonoseki traffic could pass, and Yellow Sea traffic could round this corner. Oh, 0800, sighted smoke. Commenced approach, which lasted almost 5 hours. The closest we could get was about 8,000 yards. Finally, abandoned the approach. A peculiar mirage prevailed. As far as we could tell, it was a small inter-island type steamer. It was either acting as a smoking decoy, or it was trawling. We nicknamed it Smoky Maru. 1640. The same Smoky Maru headed directly for us, went to battle stations and made an approach. At 1700, fired 1 torpedo from a stern tube, range 1,000 yards, speed 12 knots. Missed, a few feet ahead of target. After our long chase this morning and being anxious to shoot something, we let him have just 1. He was the type of target worth 1 torpedo if you sink him, but not worth 2 torpedoes under any conditions. The torpedo was set to run at 5 feet. The sea was light, however. It is believed the torpedo ran shallow. It was seen to porpoise just ahead of the target. It is possible the target did not sight it, because afterwards he held a steady course. Miss was due to error in estimating masthead height. We gave it 75 feet. Actually, it was about 55 feet. Target similar to USS Gudgeon's sketch of the Q-ship, but without any guns. Other boats in this area will no doubt sight this type of ship in the future. Just as the target was going over the horizon, another smoky Maru came out to relieve the watch. We avoided. March 14th, 0600, in position to intercept some of the Yellow Sea traffic which rounds the corner for Shimonoseki, especially traffic from Tsingtao. Sighted another smoky Maru. He acted as if he were patrolling. The sea was flat calm. The temperature had dropped from 68 degrees to 48 degrees overnight. Smoky Maru, after making a wide circle, speeded up to 10 knots. Sighted smoke. Commenced approach. During the approach, had as many as 5 smoky Marus in sight. It certainly looked as if they were acting as decoys, trying to sucker us away from a good-sized target that might be smoking. March 15th, 0600, dived with Hempun 2, distance 11 miles. This was believed to be the route taken by a large volume of the Yellow Sea traffic to Japan. Sighted small patrol range about 8,000 yards. When we swung ship to an approach course, we lost him in the haze and were unable to regain contact. March 16th, 0200, radar contact at 3,200 yards. Sighted vessel resembling a destroyer with very sharp angle on the bow. With the moon in back of us, dived and pointed Wahoo towards target for a possible down-the-throat defensive shot. Lost sight of the target when the range was about 1,400 yards. The target was not a destroyer, but another smoky Maru. Surfaced when SJ radar failed to pick up anything. This Maikotsu Suido is definitely not a good place for submarine attacks. It is shallow, with islands and shoals everywhere. However, we considered it worthwhile to reconnoiter to see where this Yellow Sea traffic is located. We call this channel Sampan Alley. Surfaced and set course north to intercept path of the ships sighted by the USS Haddock near the proximity of Shantung Promontory. Our SJ radar went out of commission during the night. We have no technician aboard, but Lieutenant C.C. Jackson and our leading radio man have been relieved of all duties while concentrating on this valuable instrument. March 17th. Did not dive this morning. Visibility was excellent and sea calm. Had some difficulty in dodging all of the junks and trawlers to prevent being sighted. Dived. Too many trawlers and junks were in sight to dodge all of them. March 18th. The weather started out hazy and ended up with a thick fog. Remained submerged while we worked on malfunctioning SJ radar. Sat down for a game of cribbage with Executive Officer Dick O'Kane. Dealt him a hand, contained 3 5s and the jack of spades. Crew members gathered around to watch as I cut the deck, and O'Kane flipped the 5 of spades for a perfect cribbage hand. 29 points. The crew whooped and hollered. Many took it as a good omen, foretelling future success for our war patrol. The weather cleared up at the end of the day, and the radar was back in commission. The periscope performance is troublesome. Number 2, periscope continues to fog badly at times. During several approaches, this fogging was bad enough to necessitate ducking the periscope to complete an observation. The fogging became heavy enough during the time required to take a bearing, less than 5 seconds, to make an accurate stadimeter range impossible. This condition has existed in the past on this ship, and from conversation with other officers, we find that it exists in other ships. It is greatly increased by a differential in temperature, particularly when the water is warmer than the air. Unless definite action is taken to correct this defect, it will continue to be a major handicap to the conduct of a successful submerged attack. The number 1 periscope, which is used constantly as a high lookout while on the surface, is so stiff that it greatly reduces the efficiency of the watch. The overhaul by the tender during the last refit made no appreciable improvement. March 19th, 0400. Upon surfacing, set course for Round Island Light off the entrance to Dairen. We are bound and determined to find some traffic. Sighted freighter. Went to full power and gained position ahead, tracking with radar. Dived when light enough to see through periscope. 0500. Fired one Torpex torpedo at a medium-sized freighter identified as Nanka Maru, 4,065 tons, range 750 yards. Hit. After part of the ship disintegrated, and the forward part sank in 2 minutes. These Torpex heads carry an awful wallop. Surface to see if anyone survived. Lots of debris and a rowboat were observed, but no one left to tell on us. 0530. Sighted another ship. That turned out to be a junk. Commenced submerged patrol off Dairen. O 800. Sighted freighter with large angle on the starboard bow. Commenced high-speed approach. We had to run over 7 miles. Fired 2 Torpex torpedoes at what appeared to be a new freighter or naval auxiliary with guns forward and aft. Range 1,800 yards. First torpedo hit under his foremast with a terrific blast. But his bow remained intact. We could see a tremendous hole up his side. Second torpedo hit him amidship, but it was a dud. Checked the setup and fired another torpedo. The target maneuvered and avoided. 0900. Fired fourth torpedo right up his rump. Again, the target maneuvered and avoided. Target fired at periscope. Certainly hated to see this one go over the hill. The water is so shallow around here, we cannot afford to tangle with patrols. That dud cost us 1 fine ship plus 2 other precious torpedoes and a chance to shoot at more targets at this spot. Continued submerged patrol heading away from the morning engagements. Except for 1 day of fog, the weather has been perfect. Tonight we are patrolling along the route our 2 victims came in on yesterday. It leads to a light off the Korean coast and just south of Chinampo. March 20th. 0300 sighted ship, commenced approach. Broke off the approach when target turned out to be a small trawler. The visibility was so good that this small craft was sighted at an unusually long range. Sighted several smoking ships well inshore and over the horizon. We are going over there tonight and patrol off Chosadong Point tomorrow. The traffic to Chinampo, a large port, must pass that point, so we hope to have some luck. March 21st. The currents encountered around this point are really strong, but conformed with those shown on the chart. 0500. Picked up ship at range 7,000 yards. Commenced approach. At second observation, ship had changed course, putting us on his port bow, so we swung ship again and closed at high speed. Fired 3 torpedoes at large freighter identified as Seta Maru, 7,200 tons, range 1,600 yards. Third torpedo hit him amidships, and he went down by the bow, attaining a vertical angle, and was out of sight in 4 minutes. We counted 33 survivors in the cold 40-degree water. There was debris for the survivors to cling to. Considered they could last but a couple of hours. Took several pictures. This was a Torpex head, and they really blow a ship to pieces, and the sound is terrific to us. Twice a wash basin has been knocked off the bulkhead in the forward torpedo room. 0930. Sighted ship, range 13,000 yards. Maneuvered for a stern shot. Fired a spread of 3 torpedoes at a large freighter identified as Nitu Maru, 6,543 tons, range 800 yards. 2 Torpex torpedoes hit, one under his bridge and the other under his mainmast. This ship went down vertically by the bow and was out of sight in 3 minutes. Had the water been deeper, he would have sunk faster because the bow was resting on the bottom as it sank. 2 junks were nearby, and they appeared to be heading to pick up survivors. Ordered battle surface to destroy the junks. Surfaced and found junks fleeing away instead of heading for the survivors. We chased them, but when we were within 2 miles of the beach and nearing shoal water, we broke off the chase. Also, we were just outside of a large port, and we did not want to invite trouble, so we headed back for the survivors. Decided to hunt for anything worth salvaging and pick up a survivor. We found 4 survivors, 2 on the bottom of one overturned boat, 1 on the bottom of another overturned boat, and a 4th floating by in a life jacket. We attempted to pick up at least one of them. They ignored us entirely. After a few minutes of this indifference, we said to hell with them and went after something worth salvaging. Picked up a couple of house flags, which we cannot identify. 1 large life ring with SS Nitu Maru Taruni painted on it, and a large book which appears to be a merchant marine manual. Departed this area at full power and commenced surface patrol heading for Shantung Promontory at 2/3 speed. March 22nd, patrolling off Shantung Promontory, made trim dive and inspected main motor that was noisy. Found a loose brush and repaired it. Surfaced and continued patrol for a point off of Laotie Shan Promontory, which is just around the corner from Port Arthur. We believe we can contact some Qingguangtao traffic here. There is, no doubt, a lot of shipping in this area, but one must find it to sink it. Believe we are heading for a good spot. There is never much water in this wading pond known as the Yellow Sea. We have to be careful with our angle on dives to keep from plowing into the bottom. Aircraft and patrols have been scarce because we're in virgin territory. However, she ain't virgin now, and we are expecting trouble soon. We hope to get at least 4 more ships and then expend our gun ammunition on our way home. We have sighted lots of fishing junks, sampans, trawlers, etc., but only a few cargo-carrying junks. March 23rd. Sighted small ship with sharp angle on the bow and dived. Commenced approach. Lost our target in haze. Surfaced and continued toward our patrol station. Laotie Shan Channel can be also called Sampan Alley. We were literally surrounded by them. 0400. Sighted small freighter and commenced approach tracking by radar. Checked his course and speed and attained position ahead. Dived, continuing the approach. Fired 1 TNT torpedo at medium-sized collier, identified as Katyosan Maru, 2,400 tons. Range 1,000 yards. Hit the collier just under the bridge. The ship was immediately enveloped in a screen of coal dust. She settled fast and slowed down. Surfaced to head for our patrol point. It was now the crack of dawn and we had about 10 miles to go. The collier we had hit 13 minutes earlier was not in sight. 0500. Dived when it was getting so light. We believed we might be sighted from the beach. Since this collier appeared to be about the same size as the one we sank the other day, we had decided to hit her with a TNT warhead to see if we could obtain a comparison. Our conclusion is that all TNT warheads should be converted to Torpex, because they cannot compare to Torpex. Torpex has the necessary force to sink ships. 1850. Surfaced and set course to the northeast of Round Island, which is off Dairen. We feel the shipping will avoid coming into Dairen direct and will attempt an end run. Had to run the gauntlet again as we passed through Sampan Alley. They have secured the light on Round Island, so we know they are rerouting their traffic. March 24th, 0500. Dived and commenced submerged patrol. Sighted smoke and commenced approach. If we took the normal approach course, the target and the Wahoo would end up behind the breakwater at Dairen. Knew we could not close the target sufficiently for an attack, but we closed at high speed just to check his course and position. Established the Japs' end-run route and commenced heading for it. This freighter was around 5,000 tons. She passed 16,000 yards ahead of us. We hope to get a couple of ships over on this route within the next day or so, before the Japs learn of our presence. 1900. Radar contact at 10,000 yards bearing 90 degrees. This indicated to us we were right on its track, and we were about to stop their end-run play. Commenced surface approach tracking by radar, and maneuvered for a stern shot. It was quite dark. Fired a spread of 3 torpedoes at a large tanker with engines aft, identified as Sioyo Maru, 7,500 tons, range 1,700 yards. The first 2 torpedoes had premature explosions after 18-second runs. Third torpedo missed. Fired 4th torpedo, and it missed. The tanker let go several 4 or 5-inch rounds at a range of about 3,500 yards using their famous flashless powder. One of the shells landed directly ahead of us and burst with a loud bang. We submerged and tracked the target. Here again, faulty torpedoes frustrated an attack, wasted 4 valuable torpedoes that we have carried over 5,000 miles, almost caused the Wahoo to be destroyed, and allowed the target time to open up on its radio and frustrate our newly discovered fertile shipping route. Surfaced after 14 minutes of ducking target's shots. He was still shooting, but it must have been at random, as he had not seen us the past 14 minutes. Went ahead full power to get up ahead of this fellow quickly, or we would both end up in Dairen Harbor. When we were well ahead and had the target in the middle of a rising moon, we dived. Fired a spread of 3 torpedoes at target 1,200 yards range, target speed 10 knots. Second torpedo with TNT hit him in the engine room. He sank in 4 minutes, going down by the stern. The target was loaded to the gills with fuel oil. It is interesting to note that when we tracked this target at slow speeds, we got 1 speed, and at high speeds, we obtained another target speed. The slow speed tracking is more accurate. This is caused by petometer log inaccuracy. Surfaced and headed south to patrol off Ota Light. March 25th, 0100, sighted ship. He had a green light burning constantly, which appeared in every respect to be his starboard side light. 3 hours prior to this, our SJ radar gear jammed, and we were still trying to repair it when this contact was made. Consequently, we had to conduct approach without radar. The moon was bright, so maneuvered for a favorable position ahead. Dived and commenced submerged approach. 0400. Fired a spread of 2 torpedoes at a medium-sized freighter, identified as the Shinsei Maru, 2,500 tons, range 1,300 yards. First torpedo exploded prematurely at the end of a 26-second run. Second torpedo exploded prematurely at the end of a 49-second run, 50 yards short of target. Battle surfaced. First 4-inch shot hit target in afterdeck house at 3,800 yards range. Closed in on target, raked him with 20mm and holed him with almost 90 rounds of 4-inch gunfire. Target caught fire in several places. Her lifeboat was dangling from the forward davit. Lookout reported ship on the horizon. Proceeded at flank speed to investigate, leaving first freighter on fire and listing. Found target to be a neat little diesel-driven freighter quite similar to the Hidachi Maru, 1,000 tons, but definitely a cargo ship. Commenced firing on second freighter with 20mm and 4-inch guns. He caught fire several times, but the fire was extinguished by her crew. She speeded up to about 13 knots and appeared to be trying to ram the Wahoo. We had no trouble in keeping clear. A member of her crew was in the foretop waving his arms. He was conning ship. A few 20mm hits in his vicinity caused him to slide down a guy wire like a monkey. Repeated gunfire soon had her blazing all over and dead in the water. Quartermaster reported first freighter listing badly during engagement, and before cease-firing, he reported first freighter sinking rapidly. And finally, she was seen to sink. After expending 170 rounds of 4-inch and about 2,000 rounds of 20mm on these two freighters, proceeded on course for our patrol point off O2 Light. Anyone who has not witnessed a submarine conduct a battle surface with 3 20mm and a 4-inch gun in the morning twilight with a calm sea and in crisp and clear weather just ain't lived. It was truly spectacular. Our wooden deck took a beating. Practically every blast of the 4-inch gun would give a hit on the target and a partial hit on the Wahoo. The wooden decking would tear and take off with each shot. 0600 watched freighter sink through number 1 periscope. Aircraft contact kept us submerged. This is bad for us because it spoils our new hunting ground. The aircraft is bound to have seen the freighter burning and then sink, or remained submerged conducting high periscope observations. 1200 hour, sighted large passenger freighter with large angle on the bow, range 16,000 yards. Commenced high-speed approach. Took observation at 8,000 yards range. Our setup checked surprisingly well. Continued high-speed approach. Took another observation at 5,000 yards. Target had reversed course, and the range increased to 12,000 yards. It was possible the target sighted us, but we doubt it. We believe an air escort hovering our area warned him. Anyway, we lost the best target we have seen this trip. 1400, sighted a destroyer, range 8,000 yards. Went to 150 feet and rigged for depth charge. As water was about 30 fathoms deep, did not dare tackle this fellow with only 2 torpedoes aboard, which from late experience would likely be pre-detonators. It hurt our pride to have to hide in our shell and crawl away. Heard one distant explosion. This could have been either a bomb or depth charge. The pinging had ceased after getting very faint. He may have picked up one of the 2 freighters sitting on the bottom and depth charged it. 1800, surfaced and cleared area on 3 engines. 1000, sighted trawler, opened up with 20mm and 4-inch guns on a diesel trawler of about 100 tons. Holed him several times. A few fires started, but he was so water-soaked they soon died out. Threw aboard some homemade Molotov cocktails concocted and manufactured by the Midway Marines. They did not burn well, due probably to the water-soaked wood. This trawler had a nice radio antenna, which he probably used to report the attack. Departed the area, leaving the trawler in wrecked condition. It was too rough to board her. Otherwise, we could have had fresh fish and also opened up some sea valves. During this engagement, all 3 20mm guns jammed at the same time. These guns jam often. Our cooling tubes prevented several explosions like we had last trip. The guns actually boil all the water out of those tubes. Other boats should get larger tubes. March 28th, conducting surface patrol on Formosa shipping routes. We have not had a good navigational fix since the night of the 25th. Took occasional soundings throughout the day. 1800, sighted 2 lighted motor sampans, opened up with 2 20mm guns on the 2 sampans, expending about 500 rounds on each sampan. They did not sink, but they have a lot of holes in them, and they are quite wrecked. It was still too rough to go aboard for a mess of fresh fish. Our mouths watered at such a possibility. The fresh meats in Wahoo, although kept frozen at 20 degrees, acquire a most unpalatable taste. This condition persists on each patrol in spite of every effort to locate and remedy the cause. After the second patrol of this ship, shelves and spaces were installed to permit air circulation. A thorough check for possible fuel oil or freon leaks was made, and a fan installed to ensure air circulation. Absorption of odors by charcoal was also attempted, but with no apparent results. During each upkeep period, the chill and cold room have been completely emptied, scrubbed, and aired with blowers. The situation has been called to the attention of the tender medical department. March 29th. 0400, sighted ship and commenced radar tracking. Dived when we had gained a favorable position ahead and it was light enough to see the target through the periscope. Fired a spread of 2 torpedoes at fairly large freighter identified as Kimisima Maru, 5,000 tons, range 900 yards. First torpedo hit under his mainmast, which was our point of aim, and completely disintegrated everything abaft of his stack. Forward section sank 2 minutes later. The torpedo was set at 15 feet due to rough seas. This was a Torpex head, and it is believed it was an influence explosion. The target made a lot of noise as she sunk and broke up. We all could hear it through our hull. The second torpedo was aimed at the foremast. It missed because the first torpedo stopped the foremast in its tracks. 0400 surfaced and headed for our base. All torpedoes expended, made surface transit through Colnet Strait during daylight. We had a lot of small craft and a small freighter in sight, all at the same time. They did not bother us, and we kept right on going. An unusual swell washed over the bridge and flooded the main induction. Water entered the maneuvering room, flooding the cubicle. Several zero grounds were created, which in turn started many small fires, making the control station untenable due to very caustic smoke. All main propulsion stopped and out of commission. All forced ventilation stopped. Immediately opened all battery cutout switches, which stopped the fires. Idled one engine while we took a suction through the after-torpedo room hatch. This cleared the maneuvering room of smoke in a hurry. Took quite a bit of water in the torpedo room. Commenced clearing up ground faults in main control cubicle and clearing main induction of water, but numerous electrical parts will need refit, including 3 generator rheostat clutch switches, 1 generator trip switch, 100 feet of wiring. Went ahead standard speed on port shaft with number 2 main engine on propulsion, dived on plane contact. It was flying very low distance, about 4 miles. Radar did not pick it up. Unfortunately, we were right on the route between Tokyo and the Bonins. The sky was heavily overcast with a low ceiling. This plane was probably piloting down the chain of the southern islands. 0900 surfaced, all main engines available for propulsion except number 3. April 6th. Arrived U.S. submarine base, Midway Island. End of 4th War Patrol.